Greetings, everybody. It's Jade. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm doing pretty good. As far as the Minnesota Vikings go, whoa, some things have definitely transpired this week since I last checked in. Um, who's still on this team? I mean, there's people still on this team. There's players that have been signed to the Vikings, but it just seems like everybody is on the outs. Everybody is leaving. So, I mean, I am just gonna go straight down the line here in no particular order, but gonna start off, I think, with the most notable name. The one I think I'm not super surprised about at all. Thought he was leaving, wanted to get out of here, was being very ominous on Twitter, and then lo and behold, he's out of here. Stefon Diggs, he is now a Buffalo Bill. Bills Mafia, enjoy that one. You got a good one. I don't like this. I don't like the fact that we traded our best wide receiver, but it seems like the Vikings are up to, I don't want to say up to no good. They're up to, it seems right now, with everybody leaving, that they're in the revamp mode, which I have no problems with. But if you're gonna revamp around one particular person, who I think they're doing that around as of right now, I have a problem with that. But we'll get to that later. So Stefon Diggs, he is now a Buffalo Bill. Parting is such sweet sorrow with that one, and I think it's gonna affect Adam Thielen's game too, but I think the writing was on the wall since the Vikings invested in Kirk Cousins, and then once Stefon Diggs figured out what kind of player Kirk Cousins was to play with, he didn't like it, and realized too that the team as a whole, apparently they're going with a running offense. So I don't blame the dude for wanting to utilize his talents, wanting to have the ball, the diva antics. Hey, I get it. I think he's just really passionate, and I think that can kind of come off and maybe rub people the wrong way, the passion for the game and stuff like that. But so Stefon Diggs is out of here. So keeping going. Andrew Sendejo, he is now Brown off to Cleveland. Joining Kevin Stefanski. Everson Griffin, he said pretty much peace out to the Vikings. Not going to be returning. Not really sure where he's going. But I think rumor has it, rumblings have been that was one of the bigger surprises maybe for the Vikings, that Everson decides that he's done with Minnesota. Had a nice little parting thing saying, how nice was it? I don't know. I didn't really read it in depth. I think he posted something on Instagram about like, hey, it's been real, but see you later. Mackenzie Alexander, he is a Cincinnati Bengal now. Jaron Kearse, Detroit Lion. Linval Joseph, LA Chargers. Josh Klein, he was released by the Vikings. However, there's rumors that relationship between Klein and the Vikings is not necessarily over. Seems like they were trying to do a little contract negotiation and couldn't come to terms. So that's not a complete goodbye as far as Josh Klein goes, but right now Vikings released him. Trey Waynes, also a Cincinnati Bengal. And Stephen Weatherly is now on the Carolina Panthers. So, do we have any quarterbacks left on this team? Holton Hill, I guess. So, I mean, that's a lot of people gone. I mean, well, okay, moving onwards here. Vikings that are staying or that have been signed on. The kicking unit, the trio of them, the punter, the long snapper, and the kicker, they're all solid. They're staying with the Vikings. Dan Bailey re-signed, I think, for about 3 years. Burton Colquitt worked out some sort of new deal, and Austin Cutting is, I don't think they re-signed or anything like that. I think he's going to be now on his final year. I think he's on a 2-year deal. So the kicking unit, they're solid. So we got something. Purple people. Daniil Hunter, they figured out some sort of restructure there. I think they did, again, math is hard. Number munching is not my forte here. But they somehow freed up $6 million in cap space with the Daniil Hunter re-sign renegotiation. Because it was something to do with his signing bonus. They turned that into some sort of what was it? His base salary, they turned that into some sort of signing bonus, which then made free cap space for the Vikings. Math is effing hard and not my forte. I'm not going to pretend it is, but that's what happened there. So Danielle Hunter, he's still here, so that's good. And then the Vikings signed defensive tackle Michael Pierce from the Baltimore Ravens, which he's going to ideally be replacing Linval Joseph. Kind of heard an interview with him on the radio. I like what I heard as far as him being a person. I don't think I've ever seen him play, or if I have seen him play, I didn't even realize I saw him. So apparently supposed to be a younger version of Linval, and I think he's bigger dude there. So we're moving on up in a couple things, right? Yeah. Boy. Okay, so some randos from around the league that are with new players now, kind of moving away from the Vikings for a second here. Tom Brady, as we all know, this is news to nobody. He is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I really did think that he was going to go to LA, La La Land. I thought he was going to be a Charger, just because of the whole him and Giselle celebrity Hollywood thing, but Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And I didn't realize this, but kind of makes more sense now too that Tom Brady will now be playing in Tampa. The Super Bowl is going to be in Tampa Bay this next year. So I think Tom Brady wants to be the home QB hosting the Super Bowl. Can't blame him there. My boy Case Keenum on the Cleveland Browns now. Kevin Stefanski is taking all the Vikings players. And it's like, do I have to become a Cleveland Brown fan now? Because, getting into that later, but my boy Case Keenum on the Browns, he's probably going to be the backup to, what's his face? Baker Mayfield. So, but who knows? Could he push Baker off the throne there? I doubt it, but that'd be kind of cool. And for all the Teddy Bridgewater fans out there, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of Teddy, but it's just like Teddy has not played for the Vikings in years, but he is now a Carolina Panther. He got paid, so good for Teddy. So hope that knee holds up for you, dude, that leg. And it sounds like he's going to be the starter in Carolina, because I believe, too, did Carolina release Cam Newton, or is he out of there, or whatever? But Teddy is now with the Panthers. So, oh, man, I skipped around too much on my notes, you guys. Sorry. Trying to be organized, and I'm not. So, okay, from the randos around the league, back to the Vikings now, that they re-signed, restructured, people staying, back to that. Anthony Harris. They put the franchise tag on Mr. Anthony Harris, which, hey, that surprised me. I'm very happy about that. If the Vikings could keep Anthony Harris somehow, I'd be all about it. And apparently Anthony Harris has said that he is looking for like some sort of stability, like a legit long-term deal, kind of wants to set a foundation, in a city, with one team here. So that'd be great if it could be Minnesota. But we're hearing, I think other people have heard this too, that they franchise tagged him to use as some sort of trade leverage, maybe to get another draft pick. I mean, it seems like the Vikings are just trying to give as many draft picks as possible right now, whether that be to draft all these new people, to bring them all in and kind of start this little rebuild process, or whether that be to use the picks as trade bait to maybe get one or two decent players up in here. But we'll see. And so yeah, they paid Anthony Harris. It was $11 million about in the franchise tag. Sean Mannion, he's gonna be back. Are we excited? Have him as our backup quarterback? We're really, really thrilled about that, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which leads me to public enemy number one, once again, that, okay, Sean Mannion is back. Stephon Diggs is gone. And who gets a 2-year extension for doing absolutely nothing? For being the king of mediocrity. None other than Mr. Roboto himself, Kirk Cousins, okay? He's going to be with the Vikings for this coming year, plus 2 more now. Great. Just great. So the Vikings, have they decided to rebuild around old Kirky boy? Really good decision there. Really good decision. Because what has he done for this team? What has he done for this team? Oh, won a playoff game by luck. One time. Other than that, non-trustworthy. I've had it. Like, if this is what the Vikings are doing, if they are indeed choosing to rebuild around Kirk Cousins, I can't, you guys. I have to start socially distancing myself from the team then, which would be extremely hard because the loyalty is there, has been forever, but it's like, I gotta draw the line somewhere, you guys. I can't stand that this team can stand for year after year of constant mediocrity. However, on the flip side of things, if they gave Cousins the extension to free up cap space, which it did, it freed up about $10 million, and then they were able to give the franchise tag to Harris, which, how are they going to use that? And then are they just kind of using Cousins in the meanwhile just to have like a quarterback and then not really necessarily building around Cousins per se, but rebuilding the entire team, only to then maybe get rid of Cousins perhaps after this year of the little revamp year? I don't know if anybody continued to follow me, but I'm still got a train of thought here. I'd be okay with that. Like, basically, if they're just, leaving Cousins in some sort of like limbo, maybe that's not the way to put it, but if they're using the Cousins extension to free up the money and to then maybe trade him to get more leverage somehow in the future, I'd be okay with that. If they're revamping and rebuilding the rest of the team, I'm totally okay with that, because I think, unlike before, I think Cousins can be traded now on his new contract. There is I think before he had like a no trade clause in his deal. That is not the case with this one, I believe. So, and all this information too about the Cousins extension, the 2 years, 3 total, it was about $66 million. 3 years total, $96 million, and $61 million of that guaranteed. And it freed up $10 million. I got all that from Twitter via Ian Rappaport. So just want to give the credit there. A lot of numbers there. A lot of numbers. But if the Vikings are building around Kirk Cousins as the future quarterback of this team, washing my hands of it, I can't. I can't. Why? Why on earth? Because there's nobody left to draft a friggin' quarterback. I don't care. Make some moves. Do not rebuild around mediocrity, because what are you going to continue to get? Average. There's always next year. Is anyone else just absolutely sick of that narrative? Because I'm sick of that narrative for this team. However, we don't know that yet. We just do know right now about all the changes that are happening, with this team. Did they plan on some of those changes? We don't know. Obviously, they planned on some of them. Did they plan on all of them? We don't know. Probably not. What's going to happen in the future? When's the draft going to actually happen? We don't know. But here's what I say, and nobody's going to be shocked to hear this. If the team is legit building in a revamping mode, and if they're building the team around none other than Kirk Cousins, I have a huge problem with that. Because you're not going to win doing that, okay? You're not going to win. If they're biding time, kind of like I said, by re-signing him, freeing up some money, and possibly being able to trade him in the future, maybe they're going to draft a quarterback. However, maybe they're going to get a younger quarterback in here. But it's like they brought Sean Mannion back. So, that just proves to me they're not looking to get any sort of young quarterback in here. It's going to be all defensive picks, quarterbacks being drafted, O-linemen. Again, that leads me to believe that they're building around Cousins, which I have a big problem with that. I don't like that. But I have said before, and I'll say it again, I'm okay with getting some fresh blood in here. I'm okay with that. A lot of it too. Because you gotta redo it somehow, in some way, right? Because the defense too, they were getting older. They're getting older. Eventually, the window was closed, okay? Did the Vikings finally realize that their little window that they had been talking about forever is closed? you know, and now you got to start from scratch again. A lot of things going on right now. A lot of weirdness. Just everywhere. Ugh. Defense is going to be different. The offense is going to be different. And I'm thinking to myself, too, I'm like, what would be the point of trying to get a big name wide receiver up in here? There would be absolutely no point in my mind. No point. So use this year then as, you know, getting some young players up in here, getting them some playing time, seeing what you have to work with. Because, I mean, Super Bowl bound. Again, the league is weird. The league is wild. It'll change, you know, it'll change in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks, you know, and we can only go with the speculation that we have now. But from what I say, this just leads me to believe that they're building this team around Kirky Boy, and I do not like that. I don't like that. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a waste of time. But if they're using that, oh man. And the Dalvin Cook thing too, that I don't think that they should re-sign Dalvin Cook for the big money too. Especially too, if you're getting rid of all these people, start with the fresh slate then. If you're gonna fresh slate it, okay? And then keep some veterans on here who can teach the younger people, you know, what to do. I'm for it. But a lot of new stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. The Diggs thing was the first thing, and that was kind of just like the domino effect there. And I'm still under the impression that they're choosing Cousins over Diggs, which they did. It just proves to me. Proof is in the pudding right there. Dumb decision. Dumb in my brain. Anyway, moving on. So one last thing, request to to pronounce the name of a previous Vikings player, and I am going to try so hard on a little bit. He played before my time, but Donald Igwaboke? Is that how I pronounce that name properly? I probably messed it up, but he was a place kicker for the Vikings, and then I looked him up even more too, which was kind of fun too. If anybody else has like former Vikings players too that, you know, back in the day that have interesting backstories, let me know in the comments, because I find it very interesting to read about players that I had no idea that even played for the team or existed. But this guy, place kicking, he holds some record for place kicking, but then he was acquitted on a heroin smuggling charge in 1991. What? Man, crazy. Wild too. And it's easy to get in those rabbit holes too, you know, on Twitter, Wikipedia. But thanks everybody for checking in and commenting, liking, and sharing and all that good stuff. And I hope everyone stays safe and healthy and all that good stuff. And I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, okay? And I'll check you later. Peace out.